So let's get the party started with the most interesting topic for today, data privacy. It's like I see everybody's fascinated by it, which is beautiful. First of all, before we get started into the whole conversation, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be talking right here. It's an honor. Years ago, 2017, it was actually the first time I visited this event, and I was on the other side. I was a customer of Tealium, meaning it was crazy back then. TIQ, implementations, you name it. Now fast forward, I'm here able to speak as an expert. So thank you for that opportunity. Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, as has already been said, I am a Tealium customer for more years than I would care to remember at this point. But yeah, Lloyds Bank have integrated Tealium fully into as many parts of the bank as they will let us. So yeah, pleasure here today to talk about privacy and consents. What better business to do it than a financial services, the most regulated industry. Well, maybe pharmaceuticals, slightly more regulated, but not far off. So yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into this. We didn't clear out the entire room with privacy and consent, so let's get stuck into it, Julian.
Perfect. So to catch up with it, we're not going to deep dive into the legal part of the house, any compliance, regulatory details, all of that. We're going to skip it. We're going to do a more thought-provoking session today because we thought in here, in this room, in this venue, are people that are actually responsible to create experiences and are responsible for actually the data and privacy of every single user that's out there and is actually visiting your services and websites. Having said that, one key fact, the internet is fueled by advertising. Ever since the internet was started to be commercially used, advertising is fueling revenue, fueling the experiences, and actually pushing revenue into all the different streams. With that key fact, that has not changed with the introduction of GDPR. It's still the same, but the roles have switched. That means users have now the responsibility and the activity and the possibility with the click of a button to say, I don't want it. I don't want to be targeted. I don't want to share my data. You all know it. This is not new to you. But with it comes a whole lot of responsibility and kind of like thinking differently about it. What we're going to do is, for what you see over here, this slide is just repetitive of what has been told today over and over. Deprecation of the third-party cookie, signal loss, we're losing data. For many different reasons. You have data privacy regulations, the opt-in, opt-outs, ad blockers. Probably nearly all of you have an ad blocker installed on your devices, and just I have it too. So we're losing signals. At the same time, the IDs and the emails and the personal information that we require is now more important than it ever was before. First-party data was set on stage many different times. CDP is the key technology to unlock the potential of first-party data. So it's driving all of our potential use cases, all our revenue streams. First-party data is fueling all of that. With that, and the increase of the importance of first-party data comes also the increase of importance for opt-in rates. Everything that was actually shown today, nearly everything, is fueled by the opt-in that I'm able to give you. May it be the CDP, may it be a use case that unlocked through the CDP, may it be a use case that unlocked through the server-side potentials of EventStream that I want to share data with Meta. By the click of a button, it just fails. Easy as that. So that importance is now just through the roof. At the same time, obtaining that consent is the most broken experience that we have ever built. And this is my personal opinion on it as a user. And at the same time, I'm sure that many of you will actually nod with their heads that every single time you visit a news page, a content manager pops up, and you visit another article, a content manager pops up, and another article, another one. That's just crazy. In many different conversations that I had over the recent years, a lot of experts actually are convinced that GDPR is to blame. Ever since GDPR happened, oh, I'm standing right in front of the light, okay, thank you. That they're convinced it's the regulatory requirements. We actually have to, we're forced to ask for an opt-in, which is true, but at the same time, I'm personally not convinced that GDPR is to blame for it. because we are the ones responsible to actually create that experience. With having said that, a little bit of storytelling behind it to actually make that point really, really clear. Can you skip to the next one? Perfect. So, in my career, I had many different roles. Years ago, 2018, on the night of the 27th to the 28th of May, I was sitting at the Lufthansa Group office, and I was responsible to implement the first ever content manager that was implemented on that website. It was not only Lufthansa, it was Lufthansa, Swiss, and Austrian. Millions of visits, a whole lot of responsibility. It was a crazy night because we're really working at night, trying to figure out what the hell we're even doing. How should we even do that? It was not as important as it was nowadays. It was really fascinating because we were sitting there and building we called it content pop-up. That was not really a name for it. We were designing it, creating it, trying to figure out how to just figure out the TAQ ins and outs and activating attack, deactivating attack. It was a new thing. While we were building it, we were motivated and hyped for it. It was new, it was something crazy. We loved the idea. At the night when we finished the project and I went home, a weird feeling started to creep up when I started to realize what I just implemented was a closed door on the website that every single user will be seeing the next day, actually, when the release happens. And every single data-driven use case that we had running was connected to that. And actually, nobody really cared for it for the first couple of weeks. The crazy part about this is we completely broke the page. Not only the page, but all the data-driven processes, because everybody was opting out. It was a new thing, a pop-up was there. Most of us were used to actually see a newsletter pop-up, and everybody started to opt out. We didn't realize it. Only 1 or 2 weeks later, it's when teams started to call me and be like, hey, are you that dude that implemented that weird pop-up on it? Yeah, I'm it. I'm that one. It's like, and they were going crazy because they were kind of like, all my reports are done. It's like, what even happened on there? That's when the whole thing started. This is May 2018. Now, for all of you people that are in here, 2 quick questions. Whom of you is responsible for content management? Perfect. A couple of hands. Whom of you are impacted by content management? A couple more hands. Beautiful. Okay. So that means there's a lot of expertise in here. Whom of you might think that this is a state-of-the-art content manager? You don't have to read the text, just into action. Whom of you might think this is state-of-the-art? You could implement this right now. Just put your hands up. 1 person, couple person, okay? So this is the prototype that I built 2017. The reason I have this here is this has not changed. We still implement content managers as a closed door, first page interaction on all our web pages. You visit a website, you don't even know what you want to do on the website. There's a content manager that it's able to actually break the entire experience if you want to, which is fascinating, crazy to me, because all we do is create experiences to sell services, sell products, whatever you do with it. So this is just a good example for it. So with this implementation, the way that we have actually taken to implement this experience, our main KPI has become the opt-in rates. This is what we take a look at. On stage, it was said if you have a low opt-in rate, it's bad. You should actually take it as your main KPI. I'm convinced that it's not true. If you're only focused on opt-in rates, you're not focused on the experience that you're creating. Nowadays, and I did not bring figures with me, but there are a lot of studies out there that actually justifies, kind of bring up that information, is that, and we see it for our own experiences as well, we click on any given button in a millisecond, in a split second. We don't even care if it's an accept or deny. If it's a shiny button that it's maybe yellow, I'll just click on it, the whole dark patterns conversation. So it's not really about respecting the user's privacy, it's just about the opt-in rate. At the same time, we want to create afterwards beautiful experiences where you can sell the product, have a conversation with the customer, keep your customer actually bound to your products or your services, that they revisit your pages or your apps and all of it that is connected to it. So with that, it's just fascinating that we still work like this. And this is a copy-paste type of solution that you see as a European actually everywhere. May it be on your apps, may it be on your websites, it's the same experience. So if we translate that, and this is an activity that I love to do, into the offline world, and just imagine for a couple of seconds right here, you would just walk down the street, you just go out the venue, walk down the street. You pass by and see a shop. It's looking cool, flashy colors, whatever. And you're interested in it, so you're kind of like thinking about, why not? I have time, I have 10 minutes, let me take a closer look into the shop. You go a couple of steps in, and a person just pops up randomly right in front of you and start asking questions that are pretty weird for you, because this person is going to ask you or tell you, first of all, I truly care about your privacy. I want to respect your preferences, and I want to tell you about what we do within the shop before you actually step in. I would love to actually get your personal information for advertisement that we're going to show you around. I would love to give you a person that's going to hold your hand and want to walk with you the entire time, and it's going to ask you questions with a weird sound like a chatbot if they are able to help you. And at the same time, here is an entire list of third parties that we work with that we're going to share all this personal information with. Are you okay with that? All of you should actually think about it the same way as I do. Is like, this is weird. I don't even know if I want to be in here. And what are you actually selling? Is it shoes? Is it man stuff, woman stuff? I don't even know. This is the experience that we have created. Right now, today, we've created that. We're not separating it. We're not splitting it into experiences. Just one experience that we have on the website. So with that, this opens up the opportunity to think about it differently. So instead of thinking about a one-time question that I ask you to actually connect all my data-driven use cases to it, I have the opportunity to create real experiences, learn from it, try to adapt, and try to think about it differently and outside the box. I still have to ask for your permission, but when I ask is the crucial spot. The Americans have actually figured out a really nice way to ask for my email address if I go to, I'm not sure if it is Walmart or not, but if I'm buying something, there's always a benefit connected to it. Hey, there's a 10% discount. May I have your email? Sure. Why not? Here you go. Easy as that. If I wouldn't know about it, I would not just hand over my email to you. Why should I? There's no benefit to me. I don't even know who you are. I don't want to be connected to you. So it's about connecting the dots and creating the experiences, which really makes the difference right here. And this is something that when we talked about this session and we tried to figure out, like, what do we want to talk about, is what struck me, what Lloyd's created a little bit, is just embracing that step of just thinking about it differently and creating experiences instead of a one-time question that you ask and kind of forget about it and just blame GDPR for it, which is actually a good thing that it's that it's there as a European. So having said that, I would love to hear about a little bit more what Lloyd's is actually doing and how Lloyd's is thinking differently about this interaction experience.
Cheers, Julian. Yeah, so consent privacy is not what we all got into digital marketing for. It's turned into a massive part of the job, though, so kind of have to just swallow it. So I always try and think about it in that each organization's different, right? So you have to kind of start off really try and center yourself on what are your data ethics as an organization. I want to talk data ethics. I'm kind of talking about risk appetite, really. Lloyd's, our risk appetite is largely non-existent. My appetite is quite high, but Lloyd's is quite low. So once you can kind of figure out where your organization is, because I mean GDPR is not black and white, right? There are 6 different types of consent, and exactly what you can do with those consents is there's a massive grey area in there, right? So you have to kind of look at this through your organization, your risk appetite, what you're trying to do, the data that you do have, the data that's critical to you, and kind of decide what your ethics are. For us at Lloyd's, those ethics, they define what we do and how we act, which I'll talk to in a minute, but they also dictate who we'll work with and how we'll work with them, right? So get clear on kind of what your data ethics are, I think, is a kind of fundamental part that you have to kind of get to. Once you've done that, then it's about kind of collecting consent. And well, for us, we only want to do stuff with customers' data that we have informed them and told them that we will do. This screen on here, it's probably hard to read at the back, that is our actual data consent in our mobile app. It's pretty specific. It says that we want to kind of use your email address, telephone number, device identifiers to target you in social media, TV, and other addressable medias to deliver you targeted offers and propositions. Right? So we collect consents in multiple places today. So we collect consent via our cookie pop-ups, we collect consents in our application journeys, and we collect consent in our mobile app. The one thing I can tell you about collecting consents in so many different places is that the opt-in rates are massively different. Right? The cookie consent is probably the same as everyone else's. You know, I'd like it to be higher, but it's not nothing. The application journeys, the consent changes depending on what we're asking. Right? Nobody wants to give direct mail consent anymore. Hardly anyone wants to give SMS consent anymore. Half of people might give you email consent if you're lucky, and kind of digital consents depends on your wording, depends on the organization. The one thing we found by kind of putting it in the mobile app is that the consent rates are much, much higher. And that is partly because timing matters, right? The context matters. So, you know, when they downloaded our mobile app, right, they've already bought the product, they've already committed to it, right? The kind of mindset of the customer changes from, because you're preconditioned, right? You know, when it comes to cookie consents, as Julian's already said, right, people just want to kind of click a button. Some people are just looking for accept, some people are just looking for decline, some people just click the first button that comes up. Right? You've got a learned behavior in there, much like you get in with application journeys, right? People are just kind of trained. I'm just saying no. I'm just saying no. That's my default position. I say no to everything in these things. The mobile app presents you with a different kind of opportunity, I think, in that they've entered the service bit. They're now in a relationship with you. In that relationship, it's about, well, how can I get the most value, right? What can I get from this new shiny thing I've bought? How do I kind of extract maximum value for it? So that is, for me, the place to ask. It's the place where you get the highest kind of consent rates. And you know, kind of testing these things, testing the wording, testing kind of the look, feel, positioning. It's really important, right? It genuinely makes material difference to what customers are kind of willing to give you. And for us at Lloyds, this is the kind of fuel for everything, right? We've got 20 plus million kind of UK customers that kind of use our apps regularly. And enabling this consent gives us the ability to kind of use paid media as part of our CRM mix, right? So, you know, with this, we can do targeted advertising on TV, in social media, in kind of programmatic channels that we can get device IDs into kind of Google and YouTube, right? So this enables you to kind of build a relationship whereby you've got kind of, you can provide value to customers, right? And you know, as a bank, I think it's our obligation to kind of make sure that we deliver relevant financial products to you. We don't want to talk to you about products that you're not eligible for. Don't want to try and sell you a loan that we're going to decline you for. Right? So getting these consents is, I believe, drives a kind of value exchange for both the organisation and the customer, and that's the important bit, right? Value exchange. Always think about what is the customer's value in this, not what's our value, but how do I kind of tell the customer about the value that they get from this? Okay. Yeah. So this one just kind of builds on the kind of point I was making. So, you know, customers can then come into our mobile app at any time they like and manage that consent, right? They can go in, they can turn off the kind of tailored marketing, they can turn off the performance marketing. There's more information in there for them to kind of see about how it all works. But it is succinct and to the point, right? We don't kind of use waffle, we don't use jargon. We try and speak in as plain and simple of terms about what data we're collecting and why we collect it. And that's the power, right? I'd love to tell you what the opt-in rate for this consent is, but I mean, Hitesh is laughing, he knows he set it up. So But it's astronomically high compared to kind of where you would get with a kind of cookie consent. And that is, I think the kind of the learning I want people to kind of take away from this is the context and the timing matters, and talking to customers about what they get out of it is kind of key.
So having said that, and thank you for actually bringing these two examples in, because there's one thing connecting the dots with what has been said before on the stage, context and timing. If I remember right, TIQ Moments is how Tealium named it, as a product with zero-party data. Had a similar talk track, asking the right question at the right time, right timing, and providing the right context allows you to create a far different experience. If we combine the content experience that we have nowadays with opportunities that we have through technology, you can create a completely different experience. The example that I brought up before with the email address and when you ask for it, and how to combine these actually experience into one. So asking for a content that maybe I opted out before, and now I actually have right moment in time because I'm interacting with your products maybe. I'm adding them to wanting to buy them. There's an incentive, there's an activity going on. I'm able to actually ask specific questions that says, hey, if I want to provide you these benefits, are you willing to actually provide an opt-in? Similar to the Walmart experience that I just shared, if there is an incentive, if there's a benefit, if there's a story to tell, it's a completely different interaction than just being on the neutral layer right in front of your web page, right in front of your application, where you just don't even know what you're telling, what you're doing, what you're actually interacting with. So combining these capabilities and changing the experience is something that we all are responsible for. We share that responsibility as the experts in the room to create these experiences and actually uplift the privacy experiences to create these journeys. So let's not forget that piece of the pages of the websites, that piece of the applications. We're all users. I think we will all would love to see less of these crazy content interaction and more of activities that matter. So connecting these dots, that's a thought-provoking part that we want to actually to give you, to actually take with you, think about it, crunch on it, and see what beautiful ideas you can actually come up with to change that. So that's our part for today. Thank you.